En 1985, T, la cofundadora del culto, murió de cáncer, echando por tierra la teoría de que uno se llevaba su cuerpo al otro nivel. Por fortuna, la filosofía del grupo ya había variado para acomodarse a su muerte. T tomaría un cuerpo angelical y luego regresaría a recoger a los otros más adelante, pero continuaría comunicándose con el grupo enviando mensajes que solo Do podría interpretar. A medida que los años pasaban sin noticias de David, Nancy Brown temía por su seguridad.
I reached the pit of despair when the Jonestown news broke in '79. And I remember sitting there watching this horrifying sight of bodies scattered around the compound like crumpled leaves. And I thought, my gosh, I don't know if David's group even lives in this country. Is he still with them? Is he still living? Maybe he got killed in a highway accident. I had no idea.
Nancy estaba decidida a encontrarlo, y gracias a su perseverancia se logró un contacto limitado. Do decidió finalmente permitir a sus estudiantes una visita familiar.
You want me to do some work? Let's continue with the tour.
Of course, it was absolutely marvelous seeing him. Phone calls are nice, letters are nice, but to actually to see and hug him and talk to him and spend the couple of days together was very, very important to me and to all of us. He looked well, but he looked pale, and he was thin. He explained that they had been fasting. They often experimented with different diets, and the pallor was that they spent a lot of time indoors.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you. There's 12 candles for 12 birthday years.
I mean, you're backlog years.
We're catching up all on them. All right.
One evening, we had a pretty intense talk, and his father and one of his brothers in particular pressed him pretty hard about his beliefs and his choice. And, you know, it was really clear that there wasn't anything that was going to dissuade David from what he had chosen.
When this thing came along, it was like, this is what I've been waiting for. It's like somebody sounding the trumpet.
David would say, stimulating the attachments to our families and our former lives detracts us from our mission. If I were a monk or a priest and I was in a cloistered situation, they only see their families only once a year or less. And so we don't feel that we're doing anything extraordinary in terms of our commitment to our beliefs.
Well, I gotta take off today. Yeah. Got a plane to catch in Sacramento about 2, so.
Después de 10 años en la clase, la mayoría de los miembros había dado el necesario salto de fe para creer que Do era, literalmente, su salvador.
I'll tell you about a kingdom level beyond here, and if you want to go there, then you have to follow me, because I'm the guy who's got the key at the moment.
I believe Do, compared to Jesus, is a 20th century Jesus. In other words, whether he was the exact same soul that was incarnate 2,000 years ago and was called Jesus or not is really irrelevant, because it's the information that he felt was more important, not who he was in particular.
And some people would say that Do was actually suffering from a great mental illness and delusional mental illness.
Yes, a great many people said that Jesus was suffering from a great mental illness, I'm sure. And I don't think Do was suffering from any more of a great mental illness than Jesus.
Pero Michael Conyers empezaba a perder su fe. Después de 13 años en el grupo, había comenzado a pensar en abandonarlo.
I think basically it was a lack of vitality in my life, boredom. I wasn't liking what I was doing. and I had more and more doubts of the validity of what I was doing. Marshall Applewhite asked me how I was doing and whether or not I wanted to go have a visit. And I said, sure, I'd like to have a visit. When I got on that plane, I knew I wasn't coming back. So I left.
Después de 16 años en el grupo, Leanne Wolf experimentaba dudas similares.
There were times when I would be alone with myself in the bathroom and just beat my head and just be angry at myself for not being, you know, that perfect person. I did start to doubt who Doe was saying that he was. Not that I doubted his sincerity ever, or his belief in what he believed, but I was at a point where I was not happy. I felt I had reached the depths of self-hate. I had failed the overcoming process. I had not succeeded in evolving from the human level into the next level. So, you know, you're left with a heavy package of shame and guilt.
Tal vez fue la pérdida de otros miembros de la clase lo que impulsó a Doe a aparecer en público de nuevo en 1994. Su objetivo no era solo reclutar nuevos miembros. Habiendo aceptado que quizá deberían morir para ascender al nivel siguiente, las reuniones públicas del grupo tenían fines más siniestros.
We were also hoping that it might accelerate our departure. In other words, maybe some irate Christians would think that we were saying blasphemies and someone might take a gun and blow us up or something. But we definitely wanted to return to the level above human.
The kingdom level above human is not a static place. It is a place where growth continues indefinitely.
Una joven que se les unió en esta época fue la hija de Alice y Robert Mather. Gail solo tenía 24 años. Había dejado la casa de sus padres en Long Island para vivir en California.
Hey, Gail, you ready?
For what?
The big day?
To entertain you?
She had a little store out there selling tie-dye clothes and silver jewelry and stuff, and she was doing pretty well for a couple of years. And after she broke up with her boyfriend, she decided that she was going to go on a trip. A couple of months later, we got one of these recruitment flyers for this group, talking about UFOs and all that. Then we knew we were in trouble. That was the first indication that we really knew she was in some kind of group that we didn't understand. It was almost sheer panic because we went months without hearing anything, and it's terrible.
When she called home, the one and only phone call in 3 years, a month after we got the flyer, I said, "Hi, Gail, what are you doing?" And she said, "Did you get my flyer?" And we said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, that's what I'm doing. What do you think of it?"
Her grandmother asked her, "Gail, please come home." Says, "When can you see her?" Says, "Probably never."
Hello, honey. Hello. Oh, when you coming home?
I don't know, probably never.
Oh, no, Gary, you've got to come.
I thought you'd say that.
Oh, I want to see you so badly. Here, I guess your father wants to say something.
Okay.
Hi. How you doing?
Great. How about you?
All right. Geez, we miss you, Gail. Yeah, we don't know what you're doing. We're worried about you. How about coming up for a visit?
No.
Why?
Busy?
Oh, you can't be that busy. Come up and see us. I'll buy you a ticket. We want to see you. You can't be that busy. You can't see your family. Can you?
I don't know.
Ah, come on. Yeah, here's Al.
So what kind of group are you with?
Well, kind of like monks, I guess.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We're all celibate.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's nice. Uh-huh. You eating well? You're not getting fat, are you?
No.
Good. There's no way I can contact you. You have to contact me? Okay. Well, keep in contact, babe, because I love you so much and I miss you awfully. Hey, how about coming home for Christmas? No Christmas? What are you going to do for Christmas? I'd love to have you come home for Christmas, Gaily. You know how it is. All right? Don't forget how much I love you. First chance you can get, come home for a visit. Bye. Love you.
Now, breaking away from the world is not easy. It's difficult. It's tough. And breaking away doesn't mean that, you know, I'm going to go live in some place with this little cult and I'll, you know, spend time on weekends or at least on holidays with the family that I left because they're my no. It means that you leave that world behind. You even become another individual. It means that even the mind that you had as a human is aborted, and the soul that was given to you is filled with next level information, next level mind, and a new creature is born.
I'll talk to you tonight.
They got gas but no lodging.
They got gas?
But it's not till tomorrow morning.
La única forma de entrar a la tierra prometida de Do era quedarse dentro de los confines del grupo. Pocos estudiantes se atrevían a perderse esta oportunidad única y Do reforzaba su ansia.
What ended up happening was there was these idle threats, from my point of view, of fear that if you miss the boat, you may not get another chance. Any thought other than what comes from what he called your older member's mind was not a thought to be allowed in.
Otro miembro que se les unió en esa época fue Richard Ford, nacido de nuevo en el culto como Rio D'Angelo.
About 88, I began looking very intensively for my purpose. You know, what am I here for? Why am I on this planet? And it led me to a lot of research about everything that involved evolution, not only of the physical, but of the spiritual. So that led me to a group called A Level Above Human, which was holding a meeting. It was their understanding that the earth was designed as a garden to grow souls. And it was as if the Creator had this garden as kind of a personal garden and would plant the seeds, harvest the souls, and then till the garden, you know, spade it under, and then plant again. And that was the whole purpose of this planet. Everything sounded so incredibly believable and very basic. And I understood it. It sounded familiar to me.
I would do anything that I could do to wake you up if you have that potential to know that kingdom, to be saved from this spading under.
Después de casi 10 años lejos del grupo, Michael Conyers tiene una perspectiva de lo que impulsaba a Do.
He didn't like his homosexuality. He was hiding from a piece of himself that he disliked. And so he created a myth around that piece that he didn't like. You know, when you come from a Christian background, where your father's a Presbyterian minister, and you're living in the South, where in the 70s, psychologists still considered homosexuality a mental sickness, he came to a conclusion about his body that it was abhorrent.
Para los estudiantes de Do, la supresión de su sexualidad mediante el pensamiento se hacía tan difícil que algunos se sintieron obligados a tomar acciones más drásticas.
Castration was not something that anybody in the class rushed into. Myself and one other individual were pressing Do for quite a few years on having that option in order to eliminate our sexuality because we had no desire for it anymore.
If your eye offend you, pluck it out. It's the same idea. If something is so offensive to you that your control is threatened by it, then why shouldn't you dispose of it if you have that option to do it? Not that I have ever talked anyone into taking that action.
When it came down to actually doing it, circumstances led up to Sorority and I having to decide who was going to go first. And we flipped the coin over that, because it was a simple way of putting it in God's hands. But having lost the coin toss, I had a lot of frustration after he went through with it, and that he was experiencing the relief from the testosterone going through his system, and I was still having to deal with it. All all human behavior is really primitive to us. It's really something to be
Fue
outgrown.
alrededor de esta época cuando Sawyer, un miembro leal y a menudo portavoz del grupo, también decidió que era tiempo de abandonar.
That's basically antithetical to Jesus' message.
I was compelled to leave. I had some frustration that we weren't learning lessons fast enough and that the public didn't care about what we had to say, really.
If God said, hey, I'm calling you, hey, David, hello, David,
You're assuming...
I'm on the phone. Yeah, I don't want you to have sex anymore.
It seemed like a number of the students were stagnated, not able to move ahead on their weaknesses. I felt like I just started to have feelings of wanting to do something else. And it was difficult to deal with that at first, because it was almost like a sense of a divorce. I'm glad I didn't have the castration done, because my partner of 2 years, Anne-Marie, is expecting. And I'm excited about that, and it's a whole new life for me to be thinking about being a father. I'm happy with the fact that I'm a functional human being in all aspects.
Después de la pausa conoceremos el papel de la Internet en el desarrollo del culto de la Puerta del Cielo. Nos hablarán además de la paranoia creciente de Do y de cómo se defendía de los peligros imaginarios, y conoceremos la triste historia de la familia Hill. Estamos asistiendo a las consecuencias del fanatismo y la paranoia en el culto.
Rio D'Angelo aprendió rápidamente las lecciones de la clase y aceptó que su cuerpo era una máquina, un mero vehículo para su alma.
You don't let the vehicle have its way, because the vehicle is basically a biological computer with its own memory, its own ways of doing things. And as a soul, you have programmed your own soul and developed your own soul, kind of cultivated it. And so it's a different set of software going into the body. That's the hardware in computer terms.
Para que funcionara bien, al vehículo se le daba mantenimiento regular, incluyendo enemas y una purga especial preparada de acuerdo a una receta precisa.
It's called the Master Cleanser. It's lemonade or limeade with cayenne pepper and maple syrup, which was a B-grade maple syrup. This is a dietary formula. We did this off and on over some years, but it's basically to cleanse the vehicle, to get rid of a lot of toxins, and it works very well.
Para el otoño de 1996, el grupo se había radicado en San Diego y ganaba dinero con una empresa de diseño de páginas para Internet, incluyendo la suya. Do se deprimía cada vez más y estaba convencido de que el fin se acercaba.
If I would title this tape, it would be Last Chance to Evacuate Planet Earth Before It Is Recycled. Last chance to evacuate Earth before it is recycled.
Fue a través de Internet que el grupo pudo atraer a dos nuevos reclutas, Yvonne y Stephen Hill. Se les unieron 6 meses antes del suicidio.
I had become an avid web surfer. I stayed on the internet 9 to 10 hours a day. First contact was done through email over the internet.
Durante un tiempo, los Hill habían sido víctimas de una serie de ataques anónimos y se sentían amenazados. Sus vidas se habían hecho intolerables y buscaban una salida.
Once we had talked to the members of the cult and they were sympathetic to our situation, it seemed to be a perfect match. They understood what was happening, the harassments and our cars getting tore up, and they were very sympathetic to that. It was me that wanted to go into the cult at first, and she wanted to come because she said that you're not leaving me here, you know.
Los Hill habían estado casados 7 años y tenían 4 niños. Sus mellizos solo tenían 1 mes. Unirse al culto significaba dejar todo y a todos atrás.
The cult did not allow children, and we gave them up. Looking back, it's just ridiculous, but we did it. We had lost our perception of what to do. We told them that Mommy and Daddy's leaving.
Dejaron a los niños con miembros de su familia y se unieron al grupo, donde los separaron. Ellos también tuvieron que sobreponerse a su sexualidad y al apego del uno por el otro.
I've been in the class, will be 6 months Sunday. I think I may be the last one up to this point to have come to be with T&O at this time. I'm very happy to be here.
She changed almost 100%. At first we got there, it seemed to be a big burden lifted off her. She was happy. She was totally enamored by the environment. You talking about $1 million estate and all the amenities and things that go along with that lifestyle, and she just enjoyed it.
A medida que Yvonne se sentía más atraída, Steve no veía la hora de salir, y después de 3 meses regresó a Cincinnati, solo.
I knew that she couldn't keep up with that way of life, the control, the manipulation. And then when I left, I kind of knew that she would follow. She had wanted to go there with me, and I knew if I left, you know, that she would have wanted to leave and go with her family, to come home to her husband.
There's nothing here for me. I want to look forward, keep my eye on T&O. That's my path.
Steven nunca volvería a ver a su esposa viva.
To see her picture, I couldn't believe that, but it's true. You know, and I have a lifetime to deal with that.
Uno esperaría que no se repitieran acontecimientos como el de la Puerta del Cielo. Lamentablemente esto no es así, y a principios de este año en varios poblados de Uganda fueron descubiertos los cuerpos de cientos de víctimas de un nuevo culto secreto, el Movimiento para la Restauración de los 10 Mandamientos de Dios. Los 6 líderes que comandaban esta secta desaparecieron después de un incendio que ellos mismos provocaron. Hay una orden de arresto contra ellos, aunque no se sabe si están escondidos o también fueron consumidos por las llamas. Al principio se creyó que la muerte de todos estos seguidores del movimiento se debió a un suicidio colectivo. Sin embargo, se descubrió que los participantes del culto fueron eliminados cuando la predicción de que el mundo se acabaría a comienzos del año 2000 no tuvo efecto. Lo peor es de que entre los asesinados se contaron con mujeres embarazadas e incluso niños. El saldo de muertos, según datos policiales, alcanza ya el número pavoroso de casi 800 personas. Ya volvemos.
A principios de año, el cometa Hale-Bopp hizo su aparición en el cielo. Do lo tomó como la esperada señal de Ti de que el momento para evacuar el planeta Tierra finalmente había llegado. Solo unas semanas antes de la evacuación, Rio D'Angelo se sintió obligado a dejar a Do y al culto, a pesar de que sostiene no haber sabido nada de lo que iba a pasar.
I had this feeling that was the same feeling that I had when I joined. It was kind of an irresistible feeling that my focus or my task was different. I felt like I had a task to do outside of the class, for the class, in some way that I didn't understand. But I talked to Do about it, and after an emotional conversation of how I felt I needed to leave the class to do this task, he felt that it was probably part of the design.
La tarea de Rio estaba a punto de esclarecerse. Él sería el mensajero del culto en el mundo exterior después de que ellos hubieran hecho el último sacrificio en demostración de su fe.
Let me say that our mission here at this time is about to come to a close in the next few days. We came from distant space and even what some might call somewhat of another dimension. And we're about to return from whence we came.
2 días antes de que los suicidios comenzaran, los miembros de la Puerta del Cielo vinieron a este restaurante. Fue el escenario de su última cena.
They all ordered the exact same thing. The menu was set up ahead of time before they came in.
They had iced teas to drink, dinner salads beforehand with tomato vinaigrette dressing, turkey pot pies for the main entree, cheesecake with blueberries on top for dessert. Seemed very nice, very friendly, really polite. No one seemed like depressed at all or anything like that.
We're going to stop this tape and we're going to tie it together with the tape. I want you to see the class that's sitting in front of me. And I'm very proud of these students of the kingdom of heaven, of the kingdom of God, of the evolutionary level above human. They're about to leave, and they're excited about leaving. Timothy, would you want to stand up so that we can take a look at your uniform? Okay. And maybe we can back up a little bit and get a little wider picture of the uniform. Okay. Good. Now come back, and if you would, and sit down, and now if you would hold your patch, maybe we can zoom in on the patch. Great. There we go. See, it says Heaven's Gate Awaiting. And that's exactly what that means to us. We've been away, and now we're going back. Okay, thanks, Jim Odie.
I've made the conscious choice to willfully exit this vehicle or body that I'm wearing. I'm fully aware that to stay here, to reject the choice to go to the next level, to separate from the kingdom of God, is suicide.
And I feel very, very excited about this time and that we'll finally be able to leave as a class together. We've all worked very hard, and we've all tried to prove to our older members that we're worthy of the effort and sacrifice they've made.
But for those that we've left behind, we're going on to something greater and better, and that we hope that someday you will understand this and you might join us.
A fellow by the name of Richard Ford, who was an ex-member of the Heaven's Gate. In fact, he left 6 weeks prior to the mass suicide. He had received a suicide note and a farewell tape from the cult. And in essence, it said that they were going to take their lives. The very following day, he went down to Rancho Santa Fe. He went inside. He checked the 39 decedents. He also took videotape as he went in. He made a 911 call to the Sheriff's Communications Center, telling them what his observations were.
Is 18241 Colina Norte and Rancho Santa Fe.
Okay, and what happened there?
Well, I think there was a religious group that committed suicide.
Okay, but you don't know when this may have happened or how many people are involved or any other details?
Right.
Okay, we'll go check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
In the letter that they had sent me, they told me that there would be a door open and that I could go through this door. The smell was really strong. So I walked a little further and started to see the bodies on their beds and mattresses around the house. And I would call out to see if anybody was still alive, and there was no answer. And so I walked around the house videotaping things because I wanted to make sure that this was portrayed accurate. The feeling was very unusual. I had never experienced anything like that before. I guess it was a lot of anxiety, a lot of, trying to keep the camera from shaking and dealing with the emotions. Here's all these people that I love that are now gone. I feel good for them. I'm very happy for them, but I miss them. So it's a lonely feeling.
The entire scene was surreal. It was hard for me to say to myself, there are 39 dead people in here, instead of they're all sleeping, because that's what it looked like. Most of those decedents looked like they were sleeping. In my entire career, I've never been exposed to anything of this magnitude. Not only is it shocking, but it's almost unreal to me that 39 peoples would take this way out.
The cause of death after the scene examination, the autopsy, and all the toxicology was completed was certified as alcohol, phenobarbital, which is a sedative, and hydrocodone, which is a painkiller, which was involved in 4 people, associated with the probable use of plastic bags to produce asphyxia. Some of them may have been assisted by other persons with the plastic bag, but we do not have any physical evidence on any one individual to prove that premise.
Las autopsias también mostraron que 8 de los hombres, incluyendo a Do, estaban castrados. Mientras la mayoría de sus estudiantes yacían muertos por toda la casa, Do y sus seguidores de mayor confianza ponían todo en orden y colocaban mortajas en las caras de los difuntos.
They did not die all at the same time. There was varying degrees of decomposition. They were discovered on Wednesday, and I personally believe probably some of the deaths were on Sunday, some of them were on Tuesday, some in between. Mr. Applewhite died, I believe, on Tuesday. He was in the last group, but he was not the last one to die, because he was covered with a shroud and all very neat in his bed.
I've got a really good feeling that they are in the next level, that most of them graduated.
39 people did not die in vain. They died exactly for what they believed in. People die for their country. People die for their spouses, their friends. People die for all kinds of reasons. And dying for your belief system is a valid reason to die, especially when you're not hurting anybody else.
I saw a desperation in his face. I saw a kind of crazed look. It wasn't the Doe that I really remembered when I was younger. There was more of a aliveness and a freshness. He looked very weary and defeated.
I feel that he got to a point where he didn't know any other way out, that he had created this enormous belief system and this structure and this people that were totally committed to him. Personally, he was their God.
David tenía 40 años cuando murió, y a pesar de que Nancy lo había perdido 20 años atrás, la noticia fue un shock.
I was glued to the set at 2 o'clock. They had just started the press conference when the phone rang, and I was annoyed because I thought, well, you know, whoever's calling, I'm going to have to tell them I have to call them back. But the gentleman said, announced his name and said, I'm from the coroner's office in San Diego. So I knew immediately why he called and that all hope was lost.
Well, I've tried to think long and hard about what I'm going to say, and I know there's probably not a lot of time. So.
It's hard to know whether to be sad for David about the ending of his life. I'm sad for me and his family that we'll get to see him again. But as the coroner told me on the phone, he said David had a very serene countenance. He looked like he died peacefully. David lived his adult life doing what he wanted to do with people he loved and who loved him. And who's to say whether this was a bad life?
I'm just very, very thankful that this end of the part of the task is over. Thank you. Thank you.
Los Mather no pueden ser tan filosóficos. Gail había estado en el culto solo 3 años y tenía 27 cuando murió.
I came home from work one night, I turned the TV on, half looking, and I just glanced up and I saw one of those flyers, just like the one we got, go across the screen. Then they showed a picture of Applewhite, and I knew we were in trouble.
When I first got home and he told me, I said, oh, dear God, I paced the floor uncontrollably saying, dear God, don't let her be there. Please don't let her be. Let her call and say, Mom, I backed out the last minute. I'm in the bushes. I'm hiding. Get me out of here, whatever. But don't let it be her. And then her girlfriend came in and she said, God, Gail's on that goodbye video. And I said, no, Gail couldn't be. And and it came on. And I didn't recognize Gail because she had black circles around her eyes. She had aged so much. I thought it was a 40-year-old woman. But once she opened her mouth to speak, the voice was there and I realized it was Gail. And I thought, oh, dear God, it can't.
That wasn't the Gail we knew.
Our Gail would have never taken her life knowing how much it would hurt us.
That was Applewhite's Gail.
Yeah.
I can tell you that Doe is the most special, dignified, unhuman, objective person that you can ever meet.
That's right.
He has helped us so much and put up with so much and never done anything that seemed even close to the way a human would respond. And I guess that's really all I want to say.
We're angry at Applewhite because not only did he kill her, but he killed our future with her and with any grandchildren we might have had with her. And she just had everything to live for. And now I can't believe that she's dead.
We still say that it was one suicide and 38 murders. That was induced suicide, really. That wasn't suicide in the true sense of the word. Leaves an awful big hole in your life.
And it's been a big enough hole for 3 years, but now that hole is never going to heal because she's gone.
I mean, the kid's supposed to bury the old folks, not the other way around.
Doblaje por etcétera.
Esperamos que este programa les haya hecho meditar sobre el peligro de las sectas. Ahora nos prepararemos para descubrir en Planeta Solitario lo que llaman el verdadero rey de todos los carnavales. Será nuestro paseo por las Antillas Menores. Acompáñanos.